China's next generation of nuclear-powered attack submarines, which will be produced alongside the Type 096 nuclear ballistic missile submarine. The Type 095 will succeed the Type 093B as China's primary nuclear-powered attack submarine. The 093B is the class that is currently being mass-produced, but the Type 095 is expected to be an improvement in every single way, while the Type 093B is an evolution of the current generation of Type 093 SSN family. The Type 095 will be a new design from the ground up. The Type 095 submarine program had gone somewhat quiet over the past 1.5 years, but in recent months new rumors and credible information have emerged from military observers on the Chinese internet, those with a history of reliably predicting military development and who purportedly have insider knowledge on the Chinese military-industrial complex. They have came forth with new claims on the progress of the 095 submarine program, which I will discuss in this video. Firstly, let us briefly recap the key characteristics of the Type 095 SSN that have been established by Chinese PLA watchers with a fair degree of certainty. The first of the established consensus is that the Type 095 SSN will be a single-hulled submarine of around 12 m in diameter. Now this is a smaller beam compared with the 13 m of the Type 093B SSN. However, the Type 093B is double-hulled as with all other submarines of the Type 093 submarine family. What this means is that the actual pressure hull of the 095, in other words the hull where the submarine crew live and work and where the machinery is generally located, will actually be substantially larger and with more volume compared to the Type 093B, and a larger pressure hull means more space for sound reduction measures, among other benefits such as greater potential for rafting and shock absorption equipment. The single-hull design of the 095 obviously leads to a much quieter submarine, all else equal. Similar to the existing capabilities on the Type 093B, the Type 095 is expected to incorporate natural circulation cooling system. This is a quieter option for the cooling system on the nuclear reactor instead of the noisy mechanical water pumps that are normally run. Natural circulation allows for quieter nuclear propulsion while the submarine is in low-speed silence mode. Similar to the Type 093B, the 095 should also incorporate a pump jet propeller, which help to reduce the noise associated with cavitation at all speeds, among elder benefits. Another feature that's widely expected is an X-rudder on the Type 095. The X-shaped stern rudder should improve maneuverability for the submarine and improve operations in shallow waters, including by reducing the risk of grounding. This could be important for operating in the shallow waters within the first island chain. Another feature that we can expect with virtual certainty is a large vertical launch system with a high capacity for missiles. This is expected to be larger and indeed significantly different compared to the VLS present on the 093B, which is believed to have between 18 to 24 cruise missiles. The VLS on the Type 095 is expected to hold as much as 40 missiles in total, and even more importantly, these are believed to be multipack VLS, which is more modern and more flexible compared to the VLS on the Type 093B, which composes of single missile cells. You can load each multi-ack VLS with different missiles, whether they be anti-ship or land attack missiles or ballistic missiles. A huge advantage compared to a traditional VLS setup is that there's virtually no limit on the diameter of the missile being loaded inside a multi-ack VLS. You could conceivably load one VLS silo with a certain missile type and load up another silo with a missile of twice the diameter. This would not be possible, generally speaking, on a traditional single-cell VLS system in terms of the missile loadout for the entire submarine. You can load different combinations of different missiles with different diameters and purposes. This is a significant advantage in terms of flexibility of weapons loadout. We also have increasing indication that the YJ-21, an anti-ship ballistic missile, a particularly deadly anti-ship missile that currently equips China's modern destroyer forces, will also be used on the Type 095 nuclear attack submarine. Indications of this include various research papers by high-profile naval institutions and diagrams and schematics from research institutions. showing the YJ-21 inside a submarine-launched missile silo. Furthermore, the implementation of the YJ-21 on a submarine is the logical next step for a deadly anti-ship weapon of this sort. It is entirely suitable for an anti-ship and strike platform like the Type 095. If you have enjoyed what you've seen so far, please consider shouting me a coffee using the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description. Thank you to all supporters following a period of deafening silence on the Type 095 submarine program. The more credible and prominent military observers on the Chinese internet appear more optimistic about the progress of the 095 submarine in early 2025. Claims were circulating that military insiders had reported that the Type 095 SSN is progressing as intended. One notable commentator compared the existing Type 093B to the Ali Burke Flight 3, in other words, the final iteration in the long line of evolution for a naval warship class. Like the Burke 3, the Type 093B have been so heavily iterated that there is no further room for further advancements in this submarine class, and therefore the Type 095 is a new design from the ground up. One intended to incorporate the latest and best of all the submarine technology available to date. If the Type 093B can be compared with the Ali Burke Flight 3, then the Type 095 should be compared to the yet-to-be-seen DDG-X, the next generation of the U.S. Navy's destroyer class. Finally, in late April this year, a highly influential trio of Chinese military commentators mentioned in a podcast available only to paid subscribers that two Type 095 SSNs are under construction, presumably at the Bohai shipyard, just illustrating the credibility of this trio. One member of this trio reportedly have some degree of personal contact with Wang Haifeng, the lead designer of the J-36 of the Chengdu Aircraft Corporation, so it's fair to say that they have some degree of insider knowledge to the Chinese military-industrial complex. Anyway, the podcast in question mentioned that two Type 095 SSNs are on the way. Even more dramatically, they claimed that an improved variant of the Type 095 SSN is under development, tentatively named the Type 095A. They did not elaborate on what sort of improvements or advancements or difference will be present on the Type 095A compared to the baseline Type 095. However, it would be unsurprising for a further iteration of the 095 class to be in development at this stage. We will have to wait and see what comes out of all of this, to see a video on how the Chinese Navy may use the Type 095 SSN and why this particular class of nuclear attack submarine will make a difference to the balance of power in the Pacific. Watch this video right here. See you next time.